Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1929B, and today's date is July 29th, 2019, and the title of the episode is Firewall in Place, Sleeper Agents Present Problems, Declass, Imminent. Now, before I get started, I wanted to talk about Roundup Weed Killer. You know the stuff that you spray on weeds in your lawn or on your patio to kill the weeds. Well, it has been declared cancer-causing by the World Health Organization. Glyphosate in Roundup is likely a cancer-causing agent, according to the World Health Organization's International Agency for Research on Cancer. See if you qualify for compensation today. Get information about the ever-changing legal environment surrounding Roundup. We can explain your legal rights. Please visit claimroundup.com and see if you qualify for compensation. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, everything the patriots have been planning for, well, it's all about to happen. Nothing can stop it. And we'll be talking about this a little later in this report. But first, One American News has sent a cease and desist notice and demands for retraction to Rachel Maddow of MSNBC, The Daily Beast, and its reporter Kevin Poulsen over the claim that the network is a paid Russian propaganda operation. Now, the mainstream media is out there, and anyone that's pro-Trump, they're out there saying that, oh, this is a Russian paid news network, and we should be looking at this. And OAN is saying, listen, we've never taken a dime from any foreign government, including Russia. And their lawyer, Miller Barrandis, well, they wrote to Maddow and others saying, listen, you need to stop what you're doing or we're going to sue. And you can see how these mainstream media outlets, they're becoming very, very desperate because they don't like anything pro-Trump. They just link it to Russia. Think about it for a sec. They can't let go of the Russian collusion story. And anyone that agrees with Trump, it must link to Russia. I mean, this is just absolutely ridiculous. The Mueller report came out and found there were no links whatsoever, but the mainstream media, they will not stop it. And they have no proof. They're just talking about it just to keep the story alive. Now, Trump, he is continually attacking Baltimore, Elijah Cummings, and now it looks like Sharpton is in Trump's sight. Trump responded to Reverend Al Sharpton, shredding the former Democratic Party candidate as a con man who hates cops and white people. Sharpton's trip to Baltimore comes after Trump's blast to Elijah Cummings, where Trump is saying that the city is absolutely horrible. It's rat infested. And Al Sharpton came out and he is attacking Trump. Trump now is attacking Al Sharpton. Trump tweeted out the following: I have known Al for 25 years. Went to fights with him and Don King. Always got along well. He loved Trump. He would ask me for favors often. Al is a con man, a troublemaker, always looking for a score, just doing his thing. Must have intimidated Comcast NBC. Hates whites and cops. Trump continued. Al Sharpton would always ask me to go to his events. He would say, it's a personal favor to me. Seldom, but sometimes I would go. It was fine. He came to my office in Trump Tower during the presidential campaign to apologize for the way he was talking about me. Just a con man at work. And Trump is absolutely right. And remember back in 87, 88, when Tawana Brawley was supposedly put in a trash bag and there were 4 white men that attacked her and Sharpton backed her up, and that whole thing turned out to be fake, phony, and false? And you can see that Sharpton, he jumps on different issues and he does exactly what the deep state wants. And what does the deep state want? Division. Division with police, with white and black, and Sharpton continually pushed that agenda. Now, what's very interesting is that Trump just doesn't say things just to say it, as we know. He has facts behind everything that he says. And he puts it out there because it's part of the plan. This is why he started to talk about Elijah Cummings. This is why he started to talk about Baltimore. There's always a reason. And Trump is right again. The Baltimore mayor says she can smell the rats in Elijah Cummings' district. They took a tour, and it's a complete and utter disaster. Trump tweeted out the following: Baltimore, under the leadership of Elijah Cummings, has the worst crime statistics in the nation. 25 years of all talk, no action. So tired of listening to the same old bull. Next, Reverend Al will show up to complain and protest. Nothing will get done for the people in need. Sad. And, like we said before, Sharpton is doing exactly what the deep state wants. But once again, Trump mentioned this for a specific purpose. And Larry O'Connor tweeted out the following. Let me just understand this correctly. Trump has forced Democrats and the media into a corner where they are holding up Baltimore as the pinnacle of their urban policies and Al Sharpton as their hero and elder statesman of the party. This guy is freaking brilliant. Just like he put the squad out in front and they're the focus of the Democratic Party. Now he's taken Baltimore and Elijah Cummings, brought in Al Sharpton, and everyone is looking at this. And now everyone is looking at Baltimore. Think about what is going on here. And we know that the whole entire Maryland, the state, it is a gold mine for human trafficking. We'll be talking about that a little bit later in Q's post. But the truth is coming out. Nothing can stop the truth. And what we're seeing is that the truth is continually being dripped out. And this is all being done on purpose. And there was a transcript that was released from former FBI Chief of Staff James Rybicki. And it states that the Obama White House was the entity that was pushing the Russia conspiracy as early as October 2016. George Papadopoulos joined Maria Bartiromo on Sunday Morning Futures to discuss the Mueller testimony this past week. Now, during Mueller's testimony before Congress, Representative Devin Nunes asked the former FBI chief if he knew anything about the $10,000 given to George Papadopoulos by an Israeli asset in the summer of 2017. The confused and obviously senile Robert Mueller said it was outside his purview to discuss the bribe to Papadopoulos. So on the show with Maria, George Papadopoulos said, yes, the man who gave me the $10,000 is a CIA asset. And as we can see, most of these individuals, these informants, these Russians, they're all part of the same deep state group. They're part of the intelligence apparatus, and they use this to go after Trump. Now, as we know from yesterday, we understand that Dan Coats is out. Q told us, fly, Dan, fly. Now, it looks like Trump, he's going to be nominating Representative Radcliffe to replace Dan Coats. And we have to remember Congressman Radcliffe, he is a former U.S. attorney, and he's the one who gave that speech when Mueller was testifying. And I believe this is a very good pick. Now, of course, the deep state, they don't want Radcliffe in this position. And they're going to do whatever they possibly can to make sure that he doesn't get this position. But I think this is all going to fail. Now, very interestingly, down at the border, Bill Barr has ruled that being a member of a family harassed by gangs is not enough to qualify for asylum. Now, Barr overturned a previous decision made by Board of Immigration Appeals, which found that being a member of a family targeted by gangs or other criminal organizations could qualify them as a particular social group worthy of U.S. asylum. Bill Barr said the following: further, as almost every alien is a member of a family of some kind, categorically, recognizing families as a particular social group would render virtually every alien a member of a particular social group. There is no evidence that Congress intended the term particular social group to cast so wide a net. Barr said that while there can be specific situations when belonging to a prominent family can suffice, such a broad standard cannot be applied automatically. The ruling pertains to a case known as Matter LEA, which involves a Mexican national caught twice entering the U.S. illegally. Upon his second deportation proceedings, the individual, simply referred to by the initials LEA, claimed asylum. He argued that his father's store was being targeted by a cartel that wanted to force the store into selling drugs, which ultimately led to the cartel harassing him specifically. While the Board of Immigration Appeals denied his asylum claim, it did find that LEA was part of a recognizable group. Barr ruled that board was incorrect in the second part of its decision. So Barr is reversing all this, and what you can see here is that Trump, Barr, the Border Patrol, they're shutting down the deep state. Everything that they planned in the past, with Obama signing that memorandum, having the families come over, seeking asylum, it is all coming to an end. And human trafficking, drug running, everything, MS-13 gangs coming over, gun running, everything that we know of that supported the deep state, funded the deep state, allowed them to bring in these individuals to vote for them, to blend the U.S., it is all coming to an end. And this is why the deep state is panicking. Because everything that they set up is now being shut down. Now, Trump was giving a speech in the Rose Garden, and he was talking about a bill called H.R. 1327. And this is the September 11th Victim Compensation Fund. He said, "Today we come together as one nation to support our September 11th heroes, to care for their families, and to renew our eternal vow, never ever forget." Now, something very interesting is that there was a bill that was introduced in the Senate, and it looks like the Senate approved it, and it's called the Copyright Alternative in Small Claims Enforcement Act of 2019. And this bill will allow the government to place a fine on anyone sharing a meme you didn't make. Think about that for a second. They're pushing a bill to stop people from sharing a meme. Now, we know from Q, and Q has told us, get ready, create those memes, put them out there, share them. We know that AI cannot read memes. And this is why Q always tells us, use memes. Twitter can't read them. Instagram can't read them. YouTube can't read them. Google can't read them. And I believe those elite, those individuals, the deep state, they want to stop people from sharing memes because they cannot detect what it says. So is it hate speech? Can we block them? They'd have no idea. So if they push this through, this would make people think twice before they shared a meme. And they're hoping that this would cut down on memes that are being shared all over the internet. I believe this will fail because this is absolutely ridiculous. Let's move into Q's post. This is post 3530. Q gives us a link to Wix Static, and this is fact. This is Foundation for Accountability and Civic Trust. This was July 15, 2019. And this explains the deep state corruption of Rocky Moore Cummings and a representative Elijah Cummings. And it breaks it down on how they are siphoning funds, how they're using the funds. And Q is just pointing this out. And down below it says, Baltimore received $1.8 billion from Hussein's American Recovery and Reinvestment Act. Follow the money, follow the family. Q. Post 3531 gives us everything from 3530. And in 3530, Q includes that little section of another post that says, imagine what would happen if by law every U.S. congressman, woman, U.S. senator, president was by U.S. law audited every 1 to 2 years by an independent agency. And down below this, it says, those who take are offered more powerful positions within the party, controlled. Italy is with POTUS, Q. And we'll be talking about Italy in a couple of posts down the line here. And those people who take the money, those people who are part of the system, guess what? They get powerful positions. And that's why there are certain individuals that are screaming and yelling. They don't want this to end. They like the life they have. They like receiving this type of funds. They become millionaires. Why would they want it to end? But guess what? Trump and the Patriots, they're going to end this corruption. Post 3532. Q says the swamp runs deep. DNC server holds many answers. Scaramucci model. Now, what is the Scaramucci model? Well, it is the strategic play of hiring temps to perform actions that would otherwise cause negative optics for established players. It's kind of like using a pawn, an expendable piece, to take out a rook, much higher value in the game of chess. This move is named after Anthony Scaramucci, who served briefly as the White House Director of Communications from July 21st to July 31st of 2017. During Anthony's temporary stint, both Reince Priebus and Sean Spicer were outed as untrustworthy. Matthew Whitaker is another example of the Scaramucci model. In effect, he was able to deftly remove blockades during his time as acting Attorney General. Temps can be very dangerous to those who are targeted. Down below it says DNI and NSA, brackets, bold, all caps, A1, brackets, bold, cap, DWS, brackets, bold, D, Congress, House of Cards. You didn't think the plea deal was the end, did you? And remember that plea deal with the A1 brothers? Well, that hasn't gone away. That is not the end. Remember, the DNC server, the server that they're talking about, that Q is talking about, holds many answers. Remember, they said it was hacked by the Russians. We know that Julian Assange was not talking to the Russians. They were talking to someone in the inside. Bill Binney already did the calculations and said it would be completely impossible for the Russians to hack the DNC server. So the Patriots, they have it all. They have the source. And everything is about to change. Post 3533. Q says, reminder, RE, impeachment. 2/3 Senate vote required to impeach POTUS. 53 to 47. Logical thinking. You are watching D's con liberal base using hope tactics while maintaining POTUS obstruction of justice. Fake news narrative. Think 2020. Now we know that Senate was the key. We know whatever the House tries to do, it will be blocked by the Senate. And I do believe the reason why the D's are continually pushing obstruction of justice, then leading to impeachment, well, yes, it's for the 2020 election. They're hoping to gain ground by doing this. But I think they're keeping this in play. So when Trump and the Patriots release the Declass and the FISA, they're going to say it's a political hit because we're pursuing impeachment. And now they're bringing this out, and this is a political hit. The problem is that whole Epstein thing behind the shadows, that is going to come out. That is going to implicate the same exact players. And that whole political stunt, that will go down the drain. Post 3534. Q gives us a link to traffickingmatters.com. Now, this link was down. There were so many people going to it, and it was not functioning properly. And this is about the Federal Human Trafficking Report of 2018. And in this report, it says that Maryland has the second most defendants charged in federal human trafficking cases. And Baltimore Sun also came out with this headline. And when you look down in this report, it is absolutely true. It is Maryland. And remember, Trump has called attention to Baltimore, which is in Maryland. Q says, who represents Maryland in the House and Senate? Well, in the Senate, we have Chris Van Holten Jr., Benjamin Cardin, And in the House, we have Harris, we have Ruppersberger the third, Sarbanes, Brown, Hoyer, Trone, Cummings, which is Elijah Cummings, and Raskin. And then Q gives us another link to Charlie Kirk. And this says, did you know the last 3 mayors of Baltimore have all stepped down or been forced out of office for corruption? All 3 were Democrats. See a pattern? Q says, the more you know. Now, I do believe that Q is pointing us in the direction to look at the senators and the House of Representatives, because I think what Q is trying to say here is that most of these people are probably on the take. They're corrupt, and many of these individuals are probably involved in human trafficking. And I do believe that this will come out later. Let's move on to post 3535. And Anon said the following: the web link won't open. And that is the web link to the trafficking report. Q says, Anons crashed the site, high volume traffic, the Great Awakening. Let's move on to post 3536. Q gives us a Twitter link to John Brennan, and it says, Dan Coates served aptly and with deep integrity. Radcliffe showed abject subservience to Trump in Mueller hearings. The women and men in the intelligence community deserve a leader like Coates who puts nation first, not a servile Trump loyalist like Radcliffe. Do you think Brennan is now panicking? They just lost another individual from the deep state, and Trump is nominating Radcliffe. Brennan right now, he is panicking like there's no tomorrow. Under this it says, thank you for confirming. Coates bad, Radcliffe good. Sleepers present problems. RE staff fills. More coming. Q. Let's move on to post 3537. So, an Anon said Ray is a sleeper. Q says future marker. Now, an Anon thought FBI Director Chris Wray might be a sleeper, in the same sense that Dan Coates was a sleeper, sleeping, just waiting for the right moment to do what he needed to do. And the Anon is saying, well, wait a minute, is Ray also a sleeper? Well, we need to go back a couple of posts here, because Q has told us to trust Sessions, to trust Ray. So is Q confirming, or is Q just saying, yes, this is going to be a future marker, this will be explained, and is Ray actually cleaning the house of sleepers? And maybe we'll learn about this in the future. So we'll have to wait and see. But what is a sleeper? What is a sleeper terrorist? Well, here's the definition. A terrorist who is not currently active, but assumes a guise in order to be in position unsuspected for future terrorist activities. Remember, the deep state, they have sleepers waiting to be activated at the right moment, making it look like they're part of the team, but in reality, they're working against Trump. And Trump knows who they are. He's removing them at the right time, allowing them to stay in those positions until it is the right time to remove these individuals. And it looks like it was the right time to remove Dan Coates. Why? Most likely because the Declass is coming out very soon. Post 3538. Q gives us a picture, and it says, welcome to U.S. Naval Station Guantanamo Bay. Commanding Officer, Captain John A. Fisher. And then we have 3 individuals holding up Pepe the Frog in front of their faces, and it says, we are Q. And then Q gives us a link, and this link is from Amy Meck, and it says, Italy's Matteo Salvini refuses to back down. Who betrayed Europe? Who occupied this Europe in the name of multinationals and uncontrolled immigration? The Merkels, the Macrons, the Soros, and the Junckers. God bless Salvini for standing up for his people. We now have plenty of space. Q. So Q is letting everyone know that there's plenty of space at Guantanamo. And this can be filled up very easily by the deep state players. And it looks like Salvini is on the side of Trump. Post 3539. And Anon says Salvini is a patriot. Q says Italy is with POTUS. Attempts by D's to prevent disclosure of Five Eye material, R.E. Nunes, non-official ways, was denied. They are powerless. Enjoy the show. So Italy is with Trump. And the D's, they attempted to prevent disclosure of the Five Eye material, which completely failed. The D's, the deep state, they're no longer in control. The patriots are in control. Post 3540. Q gives us a link to DVATW, and the headline to this tweet is Macron stormtroopers pulverize those who dare dissent his policies. UK media remain mute, no coverage. And this is a video of the police going after those people that don't agree with Macron's policies. Q says no coverage by U.S. mainstream media. Ask yourself a simple question. Why? Anti-narrative. Q. The mainstream media does not want to show people going against the deep state, the globalist. And when this does happen, they don't show it, or they try to spin it in a way that these people are bad, Macron is good. But the people across the globe now are rising up. Le Pen is gaining traction in France. We see there was a change in Australia. We see there's a change in the UK. There's going to be a change in Germany. Most likely, hopefully, there'll be a change in Canada. It is all happening at the same time. Post 3541. Q gives us a Twitter link to ILMFO RG, and this is Joe D. just dropped a bombshell. Now, Joe DiGenova, he was being interviewed on a radio show, and he released some information letting everyone know what is about to happen, what comes next. Take a listen to what he said.
By the way, the declassification process will start this week. There are going to be documents released, I think, by Wednesday. The Attorney General, as I understand it, is in the process of getting those ready to come out. There are going to be some of the Devin Nunes documents that he requested, and then a series of other releases will come after that. That's because Durham is progressing very, very quickly in his criminal investigation. This is not a review, quote-unquote, of what went on. This is a criminal investigation of senior DOJ and FBI officials from the Obama administration and intelligence community people, including John Brennan. This is a federal grand jury. This is not a review. This is not an IG audit. This is not some Congressional Research Service look at history. This is a criminal investigation of a bunch of people who tried to seditiously overthrow the President of the United States. So the stuff is going to start coming out this week.
Okay, so let me just pause on the details that you're saying here. Wednesday, that means when you say come out, you mean to the public. We'll be able to see documents Wednesday?
My understanding is by Wednesday, yes.
Okay, and then on the issue of Devin Nunes, what were the documents Devin Nunes was seeking? Was this related to unmasking or wiretapping? What?
They were all the things related to. He made several requests by letter, as you know, of various items, 302s, applications for the FISA court. I mean, Devin Nunes has made many requests for declassification. I'm not sure which ones are going to come out first, but they're coming now.
Now, as you can see from his interview, he's saying that bits and pieces of the Declass, they're going to start to come out by Wednesday. Is it going to be this Wednesday, next Wednesday? We'll have to wait and see. But what that means is that it's already starting. Now, remember, Q has already told us that August is the time frame. We also have the watch with the 19th and the 27th. So all of this, if you put it all together, it's starting to paint a picture of when they're planning to do this. Congress will be on vacation in August. And for those people that have been following me, we know from the past the deep state liked to push false flags during this time period because Congress wasn't around. It looks like the patriots are going to be using this against them and using their strategy against them to release bits and pieces of all of this. Q says, good crop this season. Let's move on to post 3542. Now, Q just gives us a link to Law Cornell, and this is exculpatory. That's it. That's what Q gave us. Now, the definition of exculpatory is a description of evidence in a criminal trial that serves to justify, excuse, or introduce a reasonable doubt about the defendant's alleged actions or intentions. Exculpatory evidence may ultimately show that the defendant is not guilty. No wonder police and prosecutors must, to uphold the defendant's constitutional right to due process, tell the defense about any exculpatory evidence they've discovered. Now, this tells me that they're getting ready to release information. And from Joe D and from Q, it is coming very soon. Post 3543. Q gives us a Twitter link to reincarnated ET, and it says, how did we not see this before? So obvious. Ugh. Kicking myself. C before D. Coats before Declass. Now remember, going back in time, we thought that Q's post meant C before T, Comey, his memos before the Declass. We've come to find out that they're going to get rid of Coats before the Declass comes out. Let me continue. We have to remove the blockade to Declass by removing the DNI. Then we can Declass. Duh. And then Q says speed accelerated by +5. So we're going to see things really start to pick up now. Remember, the plan was to remove the blockades, to set up the firewall, to stop the deep state from impeaching Trump on nonsense, to have the Mueller report come out and say no Russian collusion, no obstruction, to get the deep state to use all their ammunition, and then remove the last bits and pieces and start to drip out the vital information surrounding the deep state, putting them into a corner, making them panic. And I don't believe they're just going to dump everything all at once. I believe it's going to come out in stages. And this will have the deep state, the Dems, they will be panicking. They'll do stupid things out of fear. And people will start to learn what really happened. And when they start to say, oh, this is a political hit because we're trying to impeach him, that's when the Moab hits. The Moab is Epstein. The Moab is these same people that's saying that this is a political hit, that who are screaming and yelling. They're going to be caught up in this whole sex cult scandal. At that point, there will be no escape. Declass is imminent. Trials are imminent. Everything that we're watching is not a coincidence. Court TV coming online. All of this happening at the same time. Guantanamo being upgraded. It's all being done on purpose. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.